He saved one girl, and within minutes, someone tried to kill her. What looked like a random attack was actually the first sign that her entire family was already being dragged into something far bigger. Just a few hours earlier, he was still trying to survive in a world where everything was backwards. He rescued his sister, met Cheng-Chi by pure coincidence, and somehow became the first man she ever fell for. She even confessed and asked him to be her boyfriend. He never got to answer. A speeding car came straight at them. He pulled Cheng-Chi out of danger just in time. For a second, it looked like a normal accident. Then the smoke cleared. Several women rushed toward them without saying a word. Cheng-Chi stepped in immediately. She warned them not to touch him. They ignored her. To them, he looked like the weakest person there. That mistake ended fast. The first attacker charged one punch. She was already down. The others tried to overwhelm him together. A few seconds later, the fight was over. Every single attacker was on the ground. Cheng-Chi couldn't believe what she'd just witnessed. He simply brushed it off. It wasn't as easy as it looked. But the fight wasn't what bothered him. One question kept running through his mind. Who sent them? Cheng-Chi wanted answers too. Still trying to calm herself down, she thanked him and invited him to dinner. He smiled. Another time. For the first time that night, everything finally felt quiet. Then, her phone rang. She answered. Said nothing. The color slowly disappeared from her face. My mother. She had been attacked. At that moment, everything clicked. First Cheng-Chi, now her mother. This wasn't bad luck. Someone had started targeting her family. Cheng-Chi completely broke down. If her mother died, her aunt would inherit everything. The family, the business, the house. And Cheng-Chi would lose all of it. He knew there wasn't a perfect thing to say, so he didn't try. Instead, he reminded her to stay strong. Not because she wanted to, because her family needed her to. He admitted he couldn't solve every problem, but he wasn't going anywhere. That was enough. Without thinking, Cheng-Chi hugged him. They immediately left for her family's mansion. A maid rushed outside the moment they arrived. The situation inside had only gotten worse. Before they could enter, the guards blocked the gate. Cheng-Chi demanded they move. Instead, they repeated one order. By Lady Chu-King's command, no outsider is allowed inside. He looked at the mansion, then at the guards. Something didn't feel right. If Cheng-Chi's mother was fighting for her life, why was keeping people outside suddenly more important than helping her? Cheng-Chi looked back at him. Trust me. She walked toward the entrance anyway. The guard stepped forward, and neither side looked ready to back down. The real conflict was only beginning. The guards refused to move. Cheng-Chi's patience was already gone. She demanded they step aside, but the only answer she got was the same order. No outsider enters the mansion. He quietly stepped forward and introduced himself as a doctor. He explained that he was only there to check Cheng-Chi's mother. The guards weren't impressed. One of them even mocked him, joking that a man calling himself a doctor sounded ridiculous. The other quickly fired back with an embarrassing reminder about her own health problems, and within seconds the two guards were arguing with each other instead of doing their job. While they were busy bickering, Cheng-Chi simply walked past them. Inside the mansion, another woman immediately confronted them. It was Chu-King, Cheng-Chi's aunt. Instead of worrying about her injured sister, the first thing she questioned was why Cheng-Chi had brought a strange man into the family estate. Cheng-Chi explained he was a doctor. Chu-King wasn't convinced. According to her, anyone who wanted to be involved with this family had to prove they were worthy. Without real ability, they didn't even deserve to stand inside the mansion. Then she turned toward her daughter. May, see what he's capable of. May didn't hesitate. She walked right up to him with a smile that clearly wasn't innocent. Before the fight even started, she made a shameless offer. If I win, you'll spend the night with me. Cheng-Chi instantly lost her temper. Before things could get worse, he calmly stopped her. No problem. We'll do it your way. The moment he agreed, May attacked. Only then did he realize the flirting had never been serious, it was just a distraction. Unfortunately for her, it didn't work. He caught her attack with one hand, dodged the next, then answered with a single clean punch. May was sent flying. The fight ended almost as quickly as it began. He looked at her and calmly reminded her that she should probably visit a hospital because that hit could have caused internal injuries. Instead of thanking him, Chu-King exploded with anger, throwing insults at him as they walked deeper into the mansion. Inside, another woman rushed over the moment she saw Cheng-Chi. Cheng-Chi immediately asked about her mother. The answer brought a small sense of relief. She was still alive, but she remained under close observation. He didn't waste another second. If he really was a doctor, now was the time to prove it. Without wasting another second, he followed Cheng-Chi straight into her mother's room. The moment Cheng-Chi saw her, she rushed over. Relief hit instantly. Her mother was still alive. She quickly introduced him as the man who had saved her earlier and explained Irug that he was also a doctor. Her mother looked surprised. A young man. A doctor. That wasn't exactly what she expected. He didn't waste time trying to convince anyone. Instead, he politely asked to check her pulse. While reaching for her hand, one thought crossed his mind. Seeing this family together reminded him of his own. He had no idea how he was going to explain where he'd been all this time. Before he could continue, Chengxi's mother asked for a private moment with her daughter. Chengxi immediately refused. She told her mother he had already saved her once, and if he hadn't been there, she might not even be alive. For the first time, she openly praised him in front of someone else. That caught her mother's attention. She smiled. So, my daughter is actually complimenting a man? Now she was curious. He finally examined her injuries. Within seconds, his expression changed. This wasn't an ordinary wound. She had been struck by a strange black energy that had entered through the left side of her back. The attack hadn't killed her. It was doing something worse. The energy was slowly spreading through her body. If nothing stopped it, her internal organs would begin failing within 5 days. The room went completely silent. Her mother stared at him. He hadn't asked any questions. He hadn't seen any reports, yet he described her condition perfectly. At that point, she asked everyone else to leave. Once the room was empty, her expression completely changed. She looked him straight in the eyes. Tell me the truth. Were you sent here by the Li family? And what do you really want from Chengxi? He stayed calm. He explained he had nothing to do with the Li family. If she still had doubts, she could ask Chengxi herself. Then he reminded her of one simple fact. If he hadn't stepped in earlier, Chengxi wouldn't have survived today's attack. She quietly listened. Then, she finally lowered her guard. I'll trust you. But before showing him her injury, she gave one final warning. If you're lying to me, I won't forgive you. With that, she uncovered the wound. The moment he saw it, everything made sense. The black energy was real. It had already started eating away at her body from the inside. Saving her wasn't going to be easy. She looked at him. Can you save me? He didn't make promises. I'll try. Without wasting another second, he placed his hand on the injured area and used the healing technique he had learned in the fairy world. The reaction was immediate. Chengxi's mother cried out in pain as the black energy resisted being removed. He stopped for a moment. I'm still not strong enough to remove all of it at once. If I force it, things could get worse. Even so, part of the black energy had already disappeared. For the first time since the attack, she could actually feel the pain easing. She stared at him in disbelief. How did you do that? He simply smiled. The method isn't important. The important thing is, you're already feeling better. Now she was completely convinced. Everything he had said was true. More importantly, he had actually helped when nobody else could. Grateful, she asked if there was anything he wanted in return. He shook his head. Chengxi is my friend. Helping her family is enough. For a second, she just smiled. Then she quietly teased him. So, just friends? He froze. Something about that question felt strangely awkward. Before he could answer, the moment passed. Outside the room, Chengxi was waiting nervously. The moment he walked out, she rushed straight toward him. The look on her face said everything before she even spoke. You actually did it? She couldn't believe someone had succeeded where everyone else had failed. Without thinking, she threw her arms around him again. Then she made another request. Please stay tonight. I still haven't thanked you properly. He scratched his head and laughed. If my family finds out I spent the night at a girl's house, I'm the one getting kicked out. That answer made Chengxi laugh for the first time all day. She admitted his family was probably worried about him anyway. Soon after, he finally left the mansion and got into a cab. But on the way home, something caught his attention. The same strange energy he'd just removed was now flowing across his own hand. He frowned. It looked almost like a curse. One question immediately came to his mind. Why had that energy followed him? Part of it had somehow attached itself to him. He still didn't understand why, but one thing was obvious. This world was hiding far more secrets than he first thought. The next morning, he headed to school like nothing had happened. But the moment he reached campus, loud cheering pulled his attention away. A crowd had already gathered around the basketball court. Everyone was chanting one name, Tang Ziyan. Curious, he walked over to see what was happening. The second he saw her, he froze. She was the girl he had once loved in his original world. For a brief moment, it felt like time had stopped. Then reality hit him. This wasn't his world. To her, he was just another stranger. Deciding not to disturb her, he quietly turned around to leave. Before he could take another step, a voice stopped him. Wait. He looked back. It was Tang Ziyan. She smiled and asked if they had met before. He casually replied that they went to the same school, so she had probably seen him around. Inside, though, he couldn't ignore the similarity. Just like in his original world, she was still curious about him. Without wasting time, Tang invited him to play basketball. He accepted. She spun the ball in her hand and smiled. "Let's make it interesting. If I win, you become my boyfriend." He laughed. "And if I win?" She didn't hesitate. "Then I'll grant whatever you ask." The crowd instantly got excited. Nobody believed he had any chance. Tang was one of the best players in school. She dribbled past him with incredible speed, scored the first basket, then looked back with complete confidence. She wasn't even taking the match seriously. In fact, she admitted she was holding back. Tang smiled. She bounced the ball once, then charged toward the basket with even more speed than before. This time, she wasn't holding back. She jumped, ready to finish the play. But before the ball could reach the rim, he appeared right in front of her. One clean block. The entire court froze. Nobody could believe what they'd just seen. A student like him had just outjumped the school's best player. Before anyone could react, he caught the ball, turned around, blew past Tang's defense, and scored with ease. The game was over. For a moment, even Tang didn't know what to say. Then she smiled. "A deal's a deal. So, what do you want?" He stepped closer, gently touched her cheek. "Go on a date with me." Instead of blushing, Tang laughed. "If you really want to date me, you'll have to become a lot stronger." With that, she walked away. Her words stayed in his mind long after the game ended. Back in his room, he couldn't stop thinking about everything that had happened recently. Helping Chenchi's mother had already pushed his spiritual body nearly 30% closer to awakening. That meant every successful treatment wasn't just saving lives, it was making him stronger too. Then another memory suddenly flashed through his head. When Chenchi had asked what reward he wanted, his imagination almost betrayed him. For one embarrassing second, his brain went somewhere it definitely shouldn't have. He immediately snapped himself back to reality. "No. My first goal comes first. Heal Chenchi's mother completely. Awaken the spiritual body. Everything else could wait." Still thinking about his next move, he continued walking down the street. That's when a luxury car suddenly stopped beside him. Two women stepped out. One of them lowered her sunglasses, looked him up and down, then laughed. "So, you're the guy chasing Tang Xian?" She mocked him without holding back, compared herself to Tang, even introduced herself as Liu Wei as if her name alone should intimidate him. He didn't even bother arguing. He simply called her an idiot and kept walking. That single word completely shattered her pride. The next second, she raised her hand to slap him. He didn't even flinch. Before her palm could reach his face, he caught her wrist in midair. One quick twist, and Liu Wei dropped to one knee, screaming in pain. The smile on her face disappeared instantly. Furious, she called for her bodyguards. "Teach this idiot a lesson." The two men rushed him together. Big mistake. He drove Liu Wei's face straight toward the ground, then turned to the bodyguards. One clean strike, another effortless hit. Just like that. Both of them were already down. The entire fight lasted only a few seconds. He looked at the three of them without the slightest concern. "If you want revenge, bring stronger people next time." Liu Wei clenched her teeth. Even after losing, she refused to back down. "You think you've won? My marriage with Tang Xian has already been arranged by our families. No matter what you do, you'll never change that." Those words hit harder than any attack. He stayed silent, watching her leave. For the first time, he wasn't thinking about the fight, he was thinking about Tang. Was this really her choice, or was someone choosing her future for her? That question refused to leave his mind. Then, he remembered something Chenchi had said before. "If you ever need anything, just ask." Without wasting another second, he pulled out his phone. He wasn't looking for money, he needed answers. So he asked Chenchi one simple question. "Do you know a good investigator?" Chenchi didn't hesitate. Instead of asking why, she immediately transferred him some money, along with the contact of someone she completely trusted. He looked at the number on his screen. If he wanted the truth, then she casually told him to meet her at a bar. A little later, he arrived at the meeting spot. While waiting, one question kept bothering him. She hadn't asked who he was, she hadn't asked what information he wanted, yet she still agreed to meet. That alone felt suspicious. Then someone tapped his shoulder. He turned around. Standing behind him was a young woman who looked far younger than he expected. She smiled. "You must be the one looking for information." "I'm Chen Huahua." He looked at her in disbelief. This was the famous broker. She looked more like a college student than someone who dealt in secrets. Huahua noticed his reaction and laughed. "You can just call me Huahua." Before he could say anything, she tilted her head and smiled. "By the way, If Chenxi isn't your girlfriend, why don't you date me instead? He nearly choked on his drink. I'm only here for information. She laughed even harder. Alright, so what do you want to know? He got straight to the point. I need everything you know about Teng Xian's family. The smile on Hua Hua's face slowly disappeared. Without saying another word, she pulled out her phone. Within seconds, a detailed file appeared on the screen. The Teng family isn't just wealthy. They control one of the biggest business groups in the country. But recently, the family's position has become unstable. And because of that, they accepted a marriage proposal from the Li family. Hearing that, everything finally started making sense. He couldn't believe Tang had been carrying this burden alone. In his previous life, she had never told him any of this. Maybe she never wanted him to know. He looked back at Hua Hua. I need more. She smiled again. Oh, so this isn't enough? He nodded. I want everything. Not just the Tang family, but the alchemy families too. For the first time, Hua Hua actually looked surprised. Most people only cared about the Tang family. He was asking about the alchemy families. She leaned back in her chair and smiled. Looks like you're digging into something much bigger. Then she finally explained. There are two kinds of alchemy. The first creates powerful medicines and elixirs. That's what the Tang family specializes in. But the second, her expression suddenly turned serious. It uses spiritual power. That's a completely different world. The moment he heard those words, his heart skipped a beat. Spiritual power, so he wasn't the only person connected to it. Without wasting another second, he asked for every piece of information she had. Hua Hua smiled again. Of course, but information isn't free. Then she leaned a little closer with a playful grin. My cute little brother, what are you offering in return? He sighed. Can you stop flirting for 5 minutes? She couldn't help laughing. Fine. Then she got back to business. The information you just asked for normally costs 100,000 yuan. But since you're handsome, I'll give you a 20% discount. He ignored the joke. Instead, he asked something far more important. Do you have information about rare ingredients too? Hua Hua nodded immediately. I do. But she pointed toward the restaurant outside. You'll have to buy me dinner first. A few minutes later, the two of them were sitting together at a nearby barbecue restaurant. Before he even opened the menu, Hua Hua had already ordered 20 pork skewers and 4 cold beers. He blinked. For a second, he completely forgot which world he was living in. Then he looked around. Women everywhere were drinking, laughing, and eating like it was the most normal thing in the world. He rubbed his forehead and smiled to himself. Right. This world was still completely backwards. Just as he was getting used to it, Hua Hua suddenly grabbed his hand. The teasing smile disappeared from her face. Instead, she quietly admitted that someone she had liked for years rejected her because he thought she was too poor. She even joked about her tiny house and old video games. But behind the smile, the disappointment was real. He looked at her calmly. I don't think there's anything wrong with you. She looked straight into his eyes. So, does that mean you like me? He didn't answer, because at that point, Hua Hua had already drunk far too much. She could barely stand. There was no way he was leaving her alone like that. So he walked Hua Hua all the way home. On the way, he couldn't help reminding her to stop drinking so much. One day, she might not have someone around to take care of her. Hua Hua only laughed. By the time they reached her apartment, she was already half asleep. The moment he opened the door, he understood why. The entire place was a mess. Clothes, boxes, random stuff scattered everywhere. He sighed. So, this is how a top information broker lives. After helping her onto the bed, he turned to leave. But before he could, Hua Hua wrapped her arms around him. Stay. He smiled helplessly. All right. I'll stay until you fall asleep. Satisfied with that answer, she smiled like a little kid and drifted off almost immediately. Once she was asleep, he quietly picked up her phone. He wasn't snooping for fun. He was looking for the information she promised. Within minutes, he found exactly what he needed. The Tang family had mastered countless cultivation techniques, but after a recent infiltration, their influence had started collapsing from the inside. He also found records of an old auction, a mysterious house, ancient martial arts materials, and several valuable resources that no ordinary person could afford. He finally understood one thing. Without money, he wasn't getting much stronger in this world. A few days later, he focused entirely on cultivation, using his spiritual power. He created something this world didn't even have, a spiritual stone. Looking at it in his hand, he smiled. Money would never be his biggest problem again. With his strength growing, he returned to Chenxi's mansion one last time. This time, he completely removed the remaining black energy from her mother's body. The treatment was finally over. Chengxi's mother slowly stood up. For the first time in days, she felt completely normal again. She thanked him sincerely and made him a promise. "If you ever need my help, you only have to ask." He quietly thanked her and started walking toward the exit. Just as he stepped outside, someone called his name. He turned around. It was Chenchi. Before he could react, she ran straight into his arms. Then, she kissed him. A simple thank you had turned into something much more personal. Before either of them could say another word, her bodyguard hurried over. "Miss, your meeting is about to begin." Chengji sighed. She looked back at him with a smile. "I still owe you a proper reward. Next time, I'll make up for it." She reluctantly walked away. Watching her leave, he couldn't help smiling. Maybe getting kissed wasn't such a bad reward after all. Later that day, he returned to his cultivation. This time, he pushed his spiritual power further than ever before. Energy exploded from his body. The weak body that had held him back for so long was finally breaking its limits. At last, his powerful